All right, it's 6 o'clock. We will begin the Tuesday, April 16th meeting of the Marquette Planning Commission with roll call. Commissioner Primo will start us off.
Wait, bring over here.
Everybody here. Yes, I'm here.
Kevin Clegg here. Steve Laurie here.
Sarah Lichtoff is here. There is a motion to approve the agenda. Also, the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
So there's the deal, correspondence, and corrections, and everything else that you want to add to the next one.
The version we have on this agenda is correct.
April 2nd. April 2nd. Okay, give you the sign. All right, was there any corrections in the minutes?
Yes, I do.
Approved by the executive, so yes. And everyone wants to disclose any conflicts of interest tonight. If there's any conflict of interest, we'll not go over to session, so. There are no scheduled public hearings, but moving on to agenda item number 2, citizen commission to address the commission on agenda items. Anyone who'd like to talk about anything on the agenda? Okay. We have no old business, we have no new business, there's citizens wishing to address the commission on any non-agenda items. Okay. We do not have any correspondence, reports, no trainings, we will dive right into the work session on the window.
Everybody agree to, and hopefully we can get through this in a couple hours. We can't have to make a decision of whether or not we Okay, so we're starting with going back to definitions. Steve had made some comments about several of the definitions, so we added some language shown in green to try to remedy his comments. Proposing just to get rid of the definition of business because it's not absolutely necessary. And then moving down, I left the definitions we had in there for context that we want to talk about again, which is duplex, triplex, and quadplex. And on the screen, scroll down and read it to my keep scrolling down. Addressing Kevin's comments about law units. These are the definitions that I'm showing on the bottom of the screen here from Traverse City, which has begun to allow duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes as permitted uses. They still define multiple family as containing 3 or more dwelling units, and we're proposing to do the same thing, and just we would need to go back into Article 6 and make sure we're eliminating any conflicts between what it says in Article 6 about development standards for multiple family that would conflict with the duplex and triplex standards, quadplex standards that we have already adopted and that we're proposing to make legal through the other changes.
Yeah, and so we're proposing up here changing it to say 5 units, but now after talking to Ken and looking at the CC ordinance, we'll go back to 3, and like Dave said, we'll look through all parts of the code to make sure there's no conflict.
I'm unclear of why it was 3 instead of 2 or more.
We've never had, until when you had 2 or more considered multi, or 2 to be considered multi-family.
Okay.
Pretty standard, country that. So, further comments on the definition?
Just one quick one on, I just know that thing that citizens gather at the end of the effort is not required. Permits and zones. Kind of relevant about it. Just suggesting that we should say doesn't require zoning permits because there is no, you know, this is what we require business license for non-business or that's a permit from a police department.
That's a good point. I was gonna say, all these, other, language highlighted in green is stuff that we have added, to get to these, manufacturing, because we're adding a couple. That's a good point. I wasn't sure we would keep this in here, the one you pointed out, Steve, but usually we don't want to put standards or requirements in the definition. So this was something I put in there as a, just sort of pin to, remember that we need to address this part of it either. I mean, this isn't necessarily a bad thing to leave something in there like this, where it comes from. But we can also add it into Article 7 or Article 14 sub-zoning permits. But for now, we'll leave it as a suggestion. The definition for that, if you go down to the next one, the light manufacturing, and to the bottom where we added, there are 2 levels of light manufacturing that are considered differentiated by expected level of impact. And then breaking into light and light low impact and light moderate impact. Medium impact. We have some situations we're dealing with that really, we have been for a long time with different properties, but that really kind of highlighted, we've got one now that really kind of threw this into contrast that it would probably make sense. And I looked at several other cities where they had multiple manufacturing levels, and there's not a lot that break like manufacturing to different levels, but there are some, and I think it makes a lot of sense the way that I'm proposing here, and just kind of differentiating between enclosed, kind of low impact, and the other types of light manufacturing that may have outdoor operations or storage, and would have neighborhood impacts like noise and odor, and maybe increasing dust because of outdoor, maybe they're running around with forklifts or vans or whatever, so that is what it comes
I think it's helpful, I don't know if in the original, like, manufacturing meeting, some example was, manufacturing furniture, electronics, etc. It would be helpful to provide, if we're ready for a lower impact, high impact.
Well, good question. One of the things that we read up on was from a law firm that specializes in land use law, and it was their suggestion, and they had I read a paper specifically on light manufacturing as a land use, and so they were kind of suggesting if you're regulating it, you shouldn't use specific examples, focus more on the impact, the expected impact. See, so this is why I think it's a good idea not to focus on specifics, because clothes might have been something that made sense 50 years ago, when, you know, we made clothes in the United States.
So she makes clothes.
Yeah. Probably, there was probably a mother on every rough block that made clothes when I was a little kid, and my mom had patterns, and she would make clothes for sisters, and, you know. It was really common to make clothes at one time, but now it's not very common. And that's the kind of thing, like, we really want to get into that, is if we start naming types of businesses, and I found that's problematic, especially when we start talking about food, because where do you differentiate between, we kind of tried to make it with packaging, packaging and selling it off-site. That kind of is more likely to be a light manufacturing than just a catering business. So it gets tricky when you start trying to pin down certain activities. And I think if we just could focus on these, I like this idea of focusing on the nuisance factors themselves. Because when you go to Article 6 and you're applying for, or you're light manufacturing business and you're applying for a permit, you have to identify what those impacts are. So staff will have a pretty good idea after they state what their business is, what materials they use, and so forth, that they're going to be either a low impact or a medium impact business. It's a lot more likely we'll get a good read on that, I think, with these two categories, and one, if we just had the one, and we're trying to figure out where they are in that spectrum, which has been really challenging.
Not to like press on this too much because we do want to get out of here in 2 hours. So what was the difference between a medium impact light manufacturing and a low impact heavy manufacturing? You know what I mean? Like, where's the?
We don't have low impact heavy.
No, I'm just saying, because we do have heavy and
Yeah.
heavy manufacturing. So like, that's what I'm going to ask, is like, what's the boundary between heavy manufacturing and light manufacturing, and those kind of things where smoke, vibration.
Right. Well, in the definition of heavy manufacturing, I think we have some things that are, and in the light manufacturing definition, we have some things that help us there with like the statement that says, light manufacturing activities are generally more consumer focused. Oh, this is stuff I want to add to the email. And adding manufacturing and fabrication. But more consumer focused than heavy manufacturing, which involves capital and energy intensive machinery to produce large complex products that are generally used by other businesses rather than directly by consumers. And that was from the law firm paper on manufacturing.
Question, if you have someone who's a painter and they paint portraits or whatever, and then they sell them, do they have to get a permit then to be considered like manufacturing?
I don't think so.
You would or you wouldn't?
Wouldn't, I don't think that would be artisan manufacturing.
So that artisan falls on, I'm trying to think of a different, that doesn't fall under like manufacturing.
That's more like craft.
Okay.
I mean, it's really helpful for us to be able to have more tools that help us with this stuff, because one instance we're doing right now, somebody has a PUD and they want to potentially dissolve it, but one of the businesses there hasn't been classified previously as light manufacturing, but it really isn't light manufacturing anymore. But what we've seen, it would fall into this low impact category, because basically it's using 3D printers, where they used to actually have molding equipment, injection molding, which is definitely light, if not heavy manufacturing. So, and then totally closed agricultural operations, and that's why we had that, wanted to add that definition of agriculture, which we already looked at, or, say that's agriculture that's totally closed and classified as like manufacturing instead of agriculture. Because we do not want to permit agriculture in the city per se. The guidelines of the state for agriculture. But if it's totally closed, then those people that want to have mushroom business totally closed, or lettuce, or whatever, microgreens, those will be fine. So there are real world cases where these things really help us to people to make some sensible decisions. Currently, are not.
So we want to add that language about indoor agriculture.
It's already in there, we already went over that one. You know, these aren't all the definitions, these are the definitions we need to look at now.
Any other thoughts on making definitions? Okay. So this is the road. Start us off there.
So what we had in here last time had some conditions associated with lawns as permitted or special land uses. And I think several of you kind of questioned if this may not make sense the way it was presented. And I thought, well, let me just go back to just with the standards we have in place for 12 dimensions, lot size, and setbacks and all that. See what you think of just what we have here. If it's a duplex, triplex, or quadplex, it would be permitted use in medium density residential. But if it's a triplex or quadplex, it would be special land use in the low density residential, and the duplexes would be permitted.
My only concern is we had a Michigan trying to get financing, and how it was zoned was critical to them getting financing, and there was something about if it had multiple families, then they wouldn't approve the loan. So you know how that all fits together. I just don't wanna make it more hard for people to get financing if they wanna buy it off.
That sounds like something specific to a certain program.
No, it was to do with zoning. Do you have any, tie that into any of this? Okay.
What are your thoughts on allowing duplexes as a right in the medium density and low density? Agree with that?
It's the way the comes out, that's not correct. A little concerned about this lot prices, how much we get paid to not what I'm not sure, see if that would be better reflect this special land use until we take the first step.
For you're talking about both the medium density and low density residential?
Yes. When it comes to apartments.
Just complexes, because right now it's sort of listed as triplex and
I just respectfully disagree with you.
Steve?
I think triplexes and quadplexes should be special. From being more density. You're studying the next to the neighborhood. And with the triplex. Quadplex, definitely I agree. I'd like to believe that, believe has this.
You said special, natural maybe.
I like the way you have it here and present it here. I think this is appropriate. Duplexes be permitted, but triplexes not in the ordinance.
I think, I agree with Mr. Godley, that the way it's presented seems to make sense. It's an incremental step forward, and it's, but yeah, so we might want to move ahead.
Initially, I thought, well, we're gonna turn this down in the remote family district on that, in the low density, but then I went back and read the definition of low density residential, and it does explicitly say, preserve the college attractive neighborhoods of detached single family dwellings. So, unless we change the low density definition, I guess we have to see if it's more options with those, right? That kind of makes sense, so. Yeah, I definitely was looking at how that was. Check over, especially given the reviews that they've had, all providing context of what other communities are doing, all lines Marquette, other areas.
I seem to recall, there people, we had a, there, it showed the, how the thing, I think it was the about duplexes and triplexes as well. Citywide, no matter what zoning district they were in. And I'm just thinking we had to wait for the over of the city commission or when it gets to a public hearing. That would be an excellent visual to have available, showing that there's quite a few of them out there that people go into zones in each of these zoning districts already. Especially zero revenue.
Let's see, did you just say that?
East Ridge and East Arch.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good with that, then, any more discussion on article, here?
Well, the other thing is that we talked about, multiple family dwelling units have this max lot coverage. And we were discussing whether or not for the MDR and LDR, if that standard needs to be met. So that's why it's in the red. Because we do have maximum of impervious surface for lot sizes for single and duplexes. We could reference that here for the 3 to 4 dwelling units. Or if they have to put in parking lots, after following stormwater requirements, all of that.
So you're just adding that in the red.
So that whole thing is new. We're adding D and E. For D, we're adding it, changing it to the 1 to 2 dwelling units at the top. And then E, that whole box is new for 3 to 4 dwelling units. And we're using the same minimum lot area and lot length that we have in our zoning district. So these would be the standards for somebody in LVR and FVR.
That's kind of how I was reading this, was just like, we can build these 2 or 3, 4, on the lot as long as we can start
But we don't know if, even if we're here discussing for MFR as well, that it makes sense anymore with, everything that everyone's talking about, you know, building issues and whatnot, and trying to get housing units, that to discuss with you tonight, do we really need to have this old code language from 1980 of the maximum lot coverage of 20%?
Just to clarify, I think I should notice that the maximum lot coverage, that's like percentage of your area that's not paved.
That's not required, the required parking area and your buildings.
Entirely. To me, for a purpose.
But I thought our concern was drainage and having adequate amounts of.
Right, but we have stormwater management language now, and we have a maximum lot coverage for lot sizes. Do we still need this additional requirements for multiple family buildings? They're already having to meet everything else.
So lot coverage is defined as the area of the lot that's covered by building, basically, cross-section of building. Or it's also a ground coverage.
So would that include paving?
No, that's part of actually, paving counts as part of the open space.
Except for the required parking area.
Yeah. But yeah, we reduced we're proposing here, we've already talked about that, part of the big, we reduced the building separation. So that would, right there is one of the things that could, on a smaller piece of property, make the lot coverage standard, and blow that up, and force people to keep buildings smaller or farther apart on a bigger piece of property or whatever, so. I think that ground coverage standard maximum is probably something that should be reduced really. And just said, still have to comply with the stormwater management requirement, but basically says you can't create more stormwater after development than exists now. So you gotta manage that either on the site or be allowed to use some of the city's infrastructure to cycle it on facilities that are built with it. But that's rare, and also supposed to be on the site.
Yeah.
Watch, again, maybe take a level inspectors, change it from 20% to 60% or something. That is a lot more generous, but still leave it in here, you know?
For a lot size of 9,000 square feet in the code for single family dwelling, it is 60%.
People are comfortable with that.
I got a question. All of this fiveplexes, duplexes, quadplexes, expand into a residential neighborhood. There is the potential. In triplex, for example, to have 12 unrelated adults with 12 vehicles. In the neighborhood. Quadplex, you could have 16 unrelated adults. And in a lot of ways, that's the only way that actually come out ahead. By making them into I mean, a family of 12, one thing. You still got 2 cars maybe, they're all kids. But 12 unrelated adults, in the story. A duplex, you got 8. Nobody's considering that, I don't think. I believe we should consider that.
I was just looking at the, unrelated person's building, it's per unit, it's kind of more than 4 per unit.
So 4 times 4 is 16, or 4 times 3 is 12.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not saying that, I mean, that's what we're saying. What they live, where they live, what they're just saying it's a parking issue?
It would be a parking issue,
Well,
that would be,
That meets the code standards for all the apartments like parking. So it's not everybody's gonna be able to do it, because it's not, that's one thing to keep in mind, is there's not gonna be a lot of lots that exist in, especially in this residential, where somebody's gonna be able to build them in tri-class according to the standards we have now. That may come later, or it probably will come as the next step to reducing the standards if we really want to make it easy. A lot. Standards have been reasonable up to this time, we have that, kept reducing the standards. Parking still has to be met. Unless you keep up the parking.
So you're saying then, if you had a fourplex, that they would only be allowed 8 cars in the fourplex then? 2 for each dwelling?
Well, it depends on the parking standards.
So- For 3 or 4 dwelling units, the standard is 1.5 spaces per dwelling. Except in mixed use and subdivision districts, which require 1.125 spaces.
So that would keep the cars, you couldn't have 4 kids in each of these units and have 16 cars in.
So that's where it's incumbent on the property owner to make sure he's not renting to people that, many cars when he doesn't have any parking.
And these parking spaces are a minimum. If they can make it work to meet our code, they could add more parking. If they have to.
I'm just trying to, I'm worried about 16 cars. If that would be the case, but if it's restricted somewhat, so you haven't, that's quite so many.
The property owner could provide 16 parking spaces and wanted to, this, that would be possible.
I'm just thinking about a lot of small lots that we have, where that just wouldn't work. So,
Sure. Forgive me, I'm a little confused here. Isn't the onus on the property owner and not the city to provide this? I really don't know where you're going with this, Commissioner, you know.
well,
We're not,
is,
please let me finish my sentence. I speak slowly, forgive me for that. My thought is, we're not here to regulate social structure. We're here to regulate the planning. I don't know how I can say how somebody else should work with that. It's up to the owner of the property, you know?
whatever you say, up with me.
No,
I don't care, I mean, I don't care, I'm just saying, in the first place, there's gonna be very little of this happening. It's just not practical. So, but who cares if the guy wants to make money and they'll find a way.
As you said, it's not right now very practical to be putting 16 cars on a lot. So I think we're making much ado about nothing, and I agree with
That's right.
Commissioner Gottlieb that it is on the onus is on the property owner for them to be able to park, to be there to rent to folks that are able to park their cars.
We still have a number of people. There's some more people per unit. Really. Say, okay, you guys can have cars.
I don't think that's a negative.
Okay. Whatever you say, I don't care. I'm sorry, I won't say anything. What do you want? But period. You know better than I do.
Well, I think Commissioner Primo's got a legitimate concern in that, you know, if you have an existing home and there's either a large single-family home next to you or an empty lot next to you that you expect will eventually have a single-family home, and when he puts a quadplex on it, with 16 people moving next door to you, you're gonna have concerns, whether it's about their cars or their noise or their, you know, whatever. We are changing the character of residential neighborhoods by allowing these to fit into wherever they can be squeezed in at this point. And neighbors, especially next door neighbors, are not going to appreciate it nowadays. So, I think that's the point that he's just asking to reconsider. And that was my issue of, you know, do we let all three of them in as permitted, or do we take the step of that maybe duplexes and triplexes and start with and still require special use permit for quadplexes or not? Either way, I guess, you know, we're trying to meet what is currently being identified as a state and national basis, not just local and housing inventory. And if that's as far as we need to go to address that, I guess that's the meeting that effect. I guess I don't think we'll get 4 seconds of it. People will really consider the issue of the same.
Yeah, I think it will save us, planning commission, a lot of it, because having a special land use coverage for energy flexibility and things. We've seen, makes it difficult to do, but I think the duplex is, that's a big no-brainer, some of our other sectors maybe, that's why we get into the special land use. You know, where that's the, but yeah, I don't see this, I sort of kind of agree with like Commissioner Primo that I don't think we're gonna see a ton of this happening overnight because there's still a lot of constraints, but what we could do as planning commissioners is try to remove the zoning constraints. I think it's a step in the right direction, but it's one small piece and then one complex picture. Any thoughts on that?
Would it be worth your while to have each vote on like what Steve proposed, the quad versus same as special use and all of this?
So separating hybrid from complex.
I'm just wondering where you're all at, maybe something wrong. It seems like that's an issue you're divided on.
Yes, I agree. I think we should move forward with that because I do agree with your position on kind of stepping through instead of just applying the triplex and quadplex and saying, both we can have it separated slightly to be able to help us on that.
Okay, so it says that you should already say the triplex should be, both the triplex and the quadplex should be special use permit in both entities and
I was going to take a step to allow duplexes and triplexes to be permitted, and use in both districts, but require special use for quadplexes. I'm kind of on the fence of the triplex. But I'm willing to go that far to say, okay, if you sell that on the basis that we'll be out.
So it would look like this, on street. Separating them all.
So what you just said is, then under low density residential, triplex is permitted for dual use.
I was talking about,
Yeah, I'm talking about both.
so it's kind of flip flop. Proposing. Generously in one area, more restricted.
Okay.
And that's because like, as I recall, the maps that we looked at before, and some research I did 40 years ago, there's a lot of triplexes in this town that nobody knows exist other than maybe planning and assessment. And they don't seem to generate complaints on problems.
So I think it helps you with something called like the no density, the fact that you're.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, is that what you're saying?
All, maybe one day, we can go through. So that.
That's a consensus.
Okay, now there's differences in opinion. Okay, well, let's just vote on this, like, how many people like this, for example, we're gonna want to,
Don't like it.
no, okay.
Those are the way it was.
So it might be easier to say that quadplexes as a permitted residential use in medium density residential districts.
I'm in favor of the permanent use.
I agree with this version of it, is that permitted, you can try to get permitted in both, multi, or medium density and low density. But a special and reverse and low density, I feel like this is permitted.
That is what I was saying.
All right, what are your thoughts?
I am not for it, which we just voted on this week right now.
Would you, want to
Yeah,
what would you say?
oh, I would say, to add special for the low density residential to triplex. Okay. I agree with, or I agree to do exactly what you said.
Oh, no, you abstained.
The way you presented it.
So the only difference from what Dave presented is the quad is shown as a special land use and everything.
So then it all comes down to the majority of you don't want the quadplex as a permitted use in NBR or LD. That's what I got. That's what I have mine. And two of you said you don't want triplexes, or three of you said you don't want triplexes. As permitted.
May I suggest that we break this out in 4 separate votes? I vote on each one. Triplex, LDR, triplex, NDR, quadplex, LDR, quadplex. And that way,
We're all with the duplexes, are we all with the duplexes? I can look at the duplex.
Yes.
But I'll need to vote on this triplexes. So the first vote will be, how, okay, do we want to have triplex as a permanent use in the medium density?
I vote yes.
Triplexes permanent. Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
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 I was waiting for you to say Anthony. Yes, I guess.
The majority says yes, so that one we're good with. That was sort of the easy one. Okay, how about triplexes for low density residential? Do we want them, quantities where that should be a target and use, low density residential triplex?
Special.
That's a no.
That's a no.
That's a no.
No.
Yes.
No.
Now I'm confused. We're voting on if it should be,
In low density permitted or special land use, I think it should be a special land use in the low density residential or triplex. This is how they presented it.
special.
Special.
So, I think the majority says it should be special. Yeah. Okay, so we put that will be special. Okay, the next vote, quadplexes in medium density residential. Permitted, should this be permitted, because that was what Dave presented originally, should it be permitted, a quadplex in the medium density residential? As Dave presented,
Yes, it should be permitted.
No, special.
Yes, permitted.
yes, permitted.
No, special.
Your tiebreaker wins, so
It
it's
says
a
no.
four, so.
Okay, so that means the majority thinks it should be a special.
Correct.
If you didn't want triplexes in there, you are, or no, you are, well.
Right, that makes sense. Then if it's gonna be a special use permit in the medium, then also look at the special use. Okay, democratic processes are messy, but we figured it out.
Just barely.
Just barely. Okay, that's good. So we got that. Alrighty, so do we want to go on to talk about something else, like section 4.61, the reflections here?
No, much more for referencing, because you're changing the definition, but now they're not changing the definition, and because of, for quadplexes, we have these duplex requirements, where it's also show some additional duplex requirements for it, just it was all for referencing.
Okay. Sounds good.
Could I ask that we talk about that ground coverage thing again real briefly? What section of the code is that will charge you for the maximum,
Article 1?
residential zone?
Oh, yeah, Article 4, Council.
Yeah, 60%, when you said that, after you said that's the maximum, I realized, yeah, I don't know if we want to go there. This is what, so Jim Compton, hydrology engineer, and our staff, we brainstormed this previously, as a frequent plan, to allow this, it's in a maximum purpose service coverage of lot and LDR, NDR, single family people on dwelling units. 60% now is what we have as the maximum coverage on a lot that has up to 712 feet. And there's only a handful of lots so far in the city that are like that, but there's almost no, I mean, it sounds like, well, it's still 40%, but most of those are, there's almost no lawn. They do have a required backyard area, but there's, a lot of them have just gross amount of pavement between the street and the back of the garage or whatever. So, we're talking about those smaller lots, we've got a 50% maximum for lots between 8 and 70 13 square feet, 21,780. I just think it might make more sense if we went to a slightly lower number, like 50%. So now every LDR property will have to build up to the maximum of that 30 square feet coverage without having to comply with this.
The 9,000 square feet long. That,
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, I just pulled the 60% right there as an arbitrary
yeah,
increase.
right, would you be comfortable with 50%?
Sure.
Yeah.
But everybody, you see that seems like it's what would be appropriate in the tax.
Yeah.
So we.
okay, so the next one is, due to the conversation between our hydrology engineer and Steve, with the fuel spill protection, we are not adding that language anymore in 54,803, but we still are looking to change the, use name down below from gas and service stations to fuel dispensing uses included. That's just an update so you guys know what happened after the, comments we had at the last meeting. Then the next one, at the last meeting, everyone discussed this addition to the 54,1402 and the item in green.
Yeah. Just add something else to, like, to see people, encourage people to build and, you know, and also tell us that they're doing planning to build out. Sometimes there's things people sometimes don't even think, oh, I should do sunset plan. They believe that they're gonna build shelters like that. But we also want to encourage. So again, this list is partly to try to encourage people to think of these things while we're putting the site plan together and describe those things and they actually include them in the site plan rather than wait, 5 years and you're talking about. You see this, maybe they'll think that, maybe I should think about including some extra, service capacity for communities. And bicycle parking is one of the things that's on the list that didn't really make it into this, round of code amendments, but, I've done some research and had our planning and zoning specialist do some research on options to allow for the substitution of, regular parking spaces for bicycle parking. That's something I'd like to try to include in the code in the near future. That's just another option to help reduce the number of parking spaces available. And because electric bikes are becoming prolific and much more really realistic as an alternative to having to drive. Next thing, in the version we sent out for the riparian overlay district, we really didn't have a way to describe how the riparian overlay district applies to Lake Superior. And so we put this, I just put this in here as a placeholder because I hadn't really been able to have a full discussion on this with hydrology engineering, and it's taken a lot of time here tonight. So I just put in flood zones defined by FEMA, but Jim provided some more language, some better language that I included in this updated version, which says the Lake Superior shoreline and coastal high hazard areas as depicted on the current flood insurance rate map published by FEMA and designated as AE that is, showing on our GIS, that's everything in yellow, which we went around and looked at the coastline here, and, feel like there's really only a couple places in the city where this would impact, either currently impact private property redevelopment, or most of it would impact municipal public property, which isn't anything we're terribly concerned about. The DLP's property on the lake shore would not be affected much because it's above it's already mostly above the lake level, on built infrastructure. The lower harbor is the only place where we really have much encroachment that we be concerned about, particularly where around the boathouse is. So, and I'm not ignoring that as, there's some concerns there, but even on, so this gives us a reasonable way to regulate the development along the shoreline, considering, we have a 25-foot buffer area automatically from that, where that demarcation line is, according to this map. So, for most of the properties that are on, like, the only residential properties that would be affected much are on Island Beach Road, and then there's the couple non-conforming ones along the lake shore, at the eastern Crescent Street and at the end of there. Those are already pretty heavily impacted, kind of like legally not conforming, but they want to be able to build in that property. And the houses on Island Beach Road, that when you zoom in a little closer, the demarcation line there is, for most of them, it's a bit into their property, but it's not so far in that they absolutely can't build anything in their backyard. It's just when you get close to the edge of the lake, they can be able to build. And for a lot of them, they want to be able to build much anyway. There's a limit on how much people build in the rear yard.
Is this just for structures, or would this also apply to things like, shore protection? Walls?
It mainly only applies to structures. The code itself, it's part of Article 3, the riparian buffer. So it has a section on permitted prohibited uses and structures. It does allow things such as roads, bridges, utility right-of-ways, flood control structures, access paths, stream restoration projects, water quality monitoring, trees. Prohibited are structures, filling, dumping, clearing, cutting, soil disturbance by grading, stripping, ditching, storing pesticides, herbicides, grazing animals, storage of more vehicles, fertilizer, or construction, placement, of building structures must permitted through section E1 of this, which does allow for some of those things like bridges, crossings, road crossings, and some roads themselves.
So basically, though, this would say that the project, the underlying project at the Wilson, it really.
What's the project?
It's relocation of helping with major, urban, so there, city project, cities expected.
Yeah. Well, then we also keep in mind that cities use the ordinances when it's a function of.
I don't know who's paying for it, if you know that, they involve some city project.
Yeah.
At least some major urban changes.
Yeah. So functions of government are an exemption to ordinances. Like the structures along the shoreline to provide life-saving equipment are an exception to the code, not allow for structures to be built in place of the coastline.
I'm sure there was federal permits required for it, but it looks like it's for the benefit of the municipal real. See what the city's getting out of it. It's just a bigger side. And I think was transferred and all of that was taken down. And it's probably involved more than that, maybe because it looks like now they're filling perhaps underneath the coal.
So, if you want to,
Well, it's on the shore of Lake Superior, it's not gonna stay where they put it.
Have we looked at also the floodplains for like the Red River that impact that behind that then?
so those are shown on the map, on the FEMA maps as well in red. And those are the, I think, the 100-year flood zone,
Okay.
on those inland waterways. And we don't want to go there. And find those.
So we don't need that for now.
We feel like it was a good idea.
Okay, yeah, so, with the last comments, about engineering, and then this is the latest draft. Any further comments, or are we good now with this?
Okay, so, this came about, we have site plan for, and we realized, so it's hard to see, but it's kind of in the middle of this, this schematic chart. There's an item under the mass section on the right side, mass for the facade and build out. It had a 60% minimum, which means that the building facade would have to be built, 60% of the, at least 60% of the facade would have to be along that setback line. Which is basically like a build to line, meaning it has to be built out to that portion of the property.
And that's a T4, T5 or 470.
Yeah, so we realized with the site plan that we, approved, right? Yeah.
Well, our comment was that they have to meet that requirement in the revised site plan
Yeah.
However-
We're working on it.
with it. So however, with, they have an 80-foot wide lot, 75% of them means that they would have to build 60 feet of the lot width, which means they would not have room to have a maneuvering lane and stall lane to add parking that they need to add this mixed use of residential units and retail. So then looking at that, we thought 75% was,
And this is the building itself, this is the project, on North Third Street with BlackRock, right in the north, BlackRock Brewery going on the up, looking up. And this new parking area in the building, new building on that vacant lot that's there, with a three-story building down, and residential offices. And it just, you look at it, and I think we realized it was maybe 45% or 46% of the frontage was in the building. So it just, the standard for 75% is very unrealistic in the parking lot. And the code itself, this was part of that Third Street corridor, sustainable corridor development plan. The code was drafted with that project in 2013 as basically like a downtown form-based code. So it does, and it's very similar to the code of the waterfront district, which has a similar kind of a build-out requirement along the property line. But I don't do recall what the standard of how much,
I think so.
yeah.
But most of those older buildings are built to the sidewalk.
Yeah.
But Third Street is that really character of it now. So it's just the discussion we had on the work day.
You're gonna have 3 apartments in that, correct?
I can't remember how many apartments, but yeah, the apartments in this one.
That's right. I think there were 2 on the third floor and 1 on the second floor and an office.
And an office. And then retail below.
We propose some much lower numbers there. It's a good concept to have part of the building built out after the sidewalk for the setback line, but it requires 70% of it. It is kind of unrealistic on the Third Street Park. And there's another project that we're looking at down farther to the north, much farther to Casa Quadra, where dentists want 3 parcels and must combine them. And this office there is only, I mean, this won't apply to his new building, but what he wants to do there is going to be a great improvement, but it wouldn't come close to meeting these numbers if that's all he did was combine these lots and kept his office there and did what he wants to do with a new parking lot and stuff. I mean, you know, I don't think anybody would drive by there and think, well, that's a terrible waste of space. Maybe a little bit, but it won't even come close to it. You know, probably more like 30%, 40%, but he's not gonna have a heat deck standard because it's not just in the building. But it's just another example that came out to us is why this really is a little bit unrealistic. We put 30 and 40 there. The T5 is supposed to be the district. That allows for the higher buildings, like the 4 stories, more density. The T4 section is in the middle of the Third Street corridor. They identify a lot lower density. That was a community preference to keep the density lower.
The stories.
Corridor.
What is the example of T5?
Um,
Right here.
that's so the dark blue is T4, purple is T5. Like I said. So part 2 it is T4. There are a lot more homes that were converted to businesses in that section. It's a lot more kind of residential, suburban.
So why is this coming back? Did they submit a different site plan what the planning commission approved?
No, they said they couldn't meet it, and now they're saying, no, they can't meet it.
They thought we approved what they had submitted on it.
For staff comments, and my comment is that you have to meet this part of the code. And they say, we'll submit revised plans to meet that part of the code. And now they're saying,
and where those
Yes.
Good, we're moving on to solar.
All right, so we spent a lot of time, with the comments that you had of, that it was hard to read and going back and forth, so combining it all into one section, you know, jumping around. This is the one part, and then, comparing the draft code language that, we received into our code and then made the language fit so we didn't have any conflicts, and then this is what we come up with. So we added the small wind energy systems and the solar energy systems to the use tariff, and we split it up between the wattage as an accessory use, and then the higher wattage as an accessory use and principal use. And what the principal use is if you take a vacant lot and you put up a solar field, that's the principal use. So that's why it's not, we're not proposing it in a residential neighborhood, because that's a commercial use. So, that's why you're seeing that in the commercial zone districts. Did you guys, have any thoughts to the figure 8 suggestions in there?
I thought it was a nice improvement. How we looked into that.
Is it defined somewhere what this small wind energy system is?
Give me,
How is for solar? Yeah, like that. Because it's a certain size, if there's a certain amount of energy it's putting out, how do you find what small is?
sure, so we just grabbed the existing language that we have, and we're just moving it into the Article 6 and then adding permitting requirements. But, so I actually didn't, if we have it as a definition, I didn't include that.
I just read an article that said that, that wind energy was really difficult because they had no way to dispose of the blades. Have we taken that into consideration for people that have wind?
On these smaller systems, that I don't know if that's going to be an issue. We're talking about, systems that are pretty small. Blades.
I don't have any idea what their life is, but I guess it's becoming a real issue in places.
Imagine with those gigantic 300-foot power blades, but these are small systems that generally attached to a building. Roof of a building.
Well, I wouldn't have thought that they wear out so quickly, but I guess that's something they didn't take into consideration.
So we don't define the wattage with it, but we do say, like, tower mounted is something that you have to have at least 1 acre. So the roof mounted is something that you're putting on the roof, and then it gives you like you can't go higher than 10 feet above the highest point of the roof. So, I mean, they are smaller systems, they're not the 200 feet that you see when you're driving downstate.
I guess I could ask a question. I probably would find it, but I wasn't looking at the definition.
No, I didn't find it.
No, described by the limits of the structure, so.
Is that standard, did you guys make sure this was the other, so we told you something, it was kind of difficult?
Yeah, that was the language that the consultant was going to learn how it was going. Like I said, the only changes to the existing language was moving it from Article 7 into Article 6 and then adding limit.
That's a good question, though, like, why is solar regulated on the kilowatt, right, and this is regulated more just like on the massive infrastructure.
Still wish we put a minimum, on the solar ones, whether it's, 500 watts or something. I know you've got something in there now that says the staff can administratively exempt small single purpose uses or whatever, but for the people with what the solar powered security lights on their garage or other speed lights and doing that, just count it as a single unit.
Yeah, and just let them put on the big one.
Yeah, but why should they have to come and fill out paperwork to do an exemption?
No, an exemption means you don't have to get any
Well,
paperwork. It just means that you don't have to get.
okay. You just say that you don't have to worry about it, but at the start, you want to island.
I don't think most people are gonna worry about it.
Well, probably not, but,
We don't want to break the law though, if that's the law.
because it just, seems like we can figure out what a few watts of are. It's I got it, I said it would use them for it. You're not, but they didn't work, but, and everything goes on, but we see what they work, but, so, I'm just, just from that, 100 watts.
Yeah, so, we don't have the expertise really, and like where the range is there. So this kind of lets us have a lot of flexibility to exempt things, saying that, single device piece of equipment all the way from the wall up to the monitor. Requirements.
Or the permit requirements, the soft and infrastructure requirements.
So the little individual lights would not have to fall under this at all, that are low cells or whatever.
There was a couple of things that kind of, back room, under maximum turbine height. Everything else regarding the code is all in feet. But under 3 feet, it's defined in meters, 20 meters. It does have a feet conversion in the parentheses right after that. But we just skip the 20 meters. Whether it's 66 or 60, whatever, our next meters are going to come. Below that, the only thing we have listed there is residential properties. Not the thing down in the shadow. Nearby residential properties. One of the things that commercial, office, and stuff like that. Just a bunch of, maybe affect workplace. People have very close to that.
Do you think that it was still going to the word residential and just say, and nearby property?
Yeah. I think that would be for equity. But it's a vacant property. Somebody's already using the property. And
on adjacent and nearby properties, or you saying you can nearby? Or just residential? I have it on screen, just looking at
I think it works that way. So it means something more than.
Okay.
What rather than just put people or basically credit as far as how we do the systems. So help reverse things that
Oh,
No, that's a good one, but I was gonna say like, right underneath under C, will be small waste energy systems, and then one, where permitted and required permitted action. We wouldn't say where permitted, just the one that was required permitted action.
location and required permits and application.
Interesting. Very small.
No, fine.
I spent a lot of time with the solar, so I didn't,
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the solar, are people happy with that?
Yeah.
I don't know, are you?
I did like the front yard exceptions and like all that, all we did that in there. I thought on the residential one, the smallest ones,
Oh.
basically.
Yeah, and we also thought it just helped to make it easier putting it in the use table to make it clear too with the principal uses that. And then I also just added the outline for ease of review for you guys while you're looking through this.
So that won't go in the like, that's just
No,
not.
that was just for you because we had so many pages here. But the Article 51, showing what would fall under site plan review and what would fall under exceptions. And then discuss that where we would add uses, this in form-based close. Where that is visible as well. The feeling was not adding the principal uses in the form-based code districts because they're form-based code districts. I didn't know.
I had a question, the state has put through the thing that they would control, then where, that doesn't affect us because we're in a municipality, correct? Or does it affect us if somebody wanted to come in and put a bunch of,
We still have local control.
but the new bill that's pending now, we lose that, correct?
if it gets approved, I have to double check that, I don't know, I haven't read the bill.
So,
That's what
It might go, this might all go away then at that point, except for housing.
Yeah. A lot of back and forth on
I think these paragraphs in here are both solar and wind. The section that require a performance guarantee to have those systems removed should be from under functional. And it seems to me that if we're trying to encourage people to use these systems, that's just one more obstacle that we need to have. If I'm not mistaken, that the city can basically put a lien on the property, maybe the court orders, put a lien on the property, for possibly people without the performance bond. At least if there's any kind of hazard involved, public nuisance, whatever, related, other provisions of the code, to cover their costs if they have to. It just seems like, adding more things that are deterrents rather than incentives. Yeah, where you have to pay ahead of time, you have it removed in 30 years or whatever. You know, we need that, you know, I don't know, we would have a better idea of what a performance bond would cost on something like that, but it just seems like it's kind of expensive. And, you know, when you put these systems in, my understanding anyway, from talking, that you don't avoid a bill from the electric utility, they still continue to bill you for their availability of service, which is where most of the cost is at this point anyway. Our understanding is just the per kilowatt charge. And so you can call one for other issues. It's pretty hard to make one of these systems pay off at all.
So the performance guarantee is only with the wind. It doesn't state it. I got it pulled up on the,
Sorry, they're talking about in the largest scale solar about having a decommissioning plan, which is what I thought you were talking about, but you're talking about more specifically.
I thought that was a big commercial, not the world out.
And maybe in some big commercial things it is warranted, you know, where the cost could approach the cost of the property involved, or if the developer isn't the owner of the land involved, it would be liable for the lien anyway, or something like that nature, but it just, yeah, I see a little further on here, we want performance bonds for people to make sure they're gonna put their lawn in front of their house and plant enough trees in there. It just seems like, we're just going way too
You're aware of that?
Yeah, it's very.
We're gonna talk more about that before we come into it.
Because I saw this
That's
down
on
in the
the-
past.
but if I may, the decommissioning plan is only for the big systems, the bigger wattage, it's not for the smaller systems.
Okay, I just read it.
And then the performance guarantee was for the small wind. But are you, stating that you'd like that part to be struck?
I think it's more than it needs, yes. I think we have the right to do that without putting the language in there. If there's any threat to public safety or just what their nuisance. Yeah, it may involve a couple more steps on the city's part to actually get approval to do it. But I don't think that, well, in the first place, I think performance bonds expire on a regular basis with short order. The ones that I dealt with, you have to renew them every couple of years, 5 years at most, whatever. So I'm not sure what to gauge by expiring.
The city can always condemn a structure that is unsafe. So there is a means to having it removed if it's condemned and deemed unsafe without a performance bond.
He's gonna retire.
Yes, it says under section 54.647 solar energy system. C. The following requirements are applicable to all roof mounted, wall mounted, ground mounted, or building integrated solar energy systems. And that does seem to imply that 24, sub 24, a solar energy system that is not subject to decommissioning plan ceases to perform its intended function in more than 18 months. The operator shall remove the collectors. I think that kind of implies what Commissioner Warren was saying, is it here, it does apply to.
To the solar, so if you want to remove from performance, that's a good idea. Should we add language like that instead? Is that kind of?
I think I agree with Commissioner Warren that roof mounted systems should be removed from that sentence. Because roof mounted systems are very different to anyway. I'm not, I think that should be removed, yes.
Oh, you want the removal section. You're not saying remove the performance guarantee and add this over to the wind.
I don't think this should be, at least with roof mounted systems, I don't think there should be a performance standard.
Right, but we have roof mounted systems that can be huge with what we're allowing in here. If you're talking about roof mounted accessories, that's a little, accessories is different. And if I need to pull this out of general standards and add it into the principal use and the bigger lot, I can do that. And just have different language for the accessories.
Yes, I had processed that, yes, that's what I think, but I'm just going back. I can say that I do have solar panels on my roof, and Commissioner Ward is right, I will never, ever earn back what I have paid for it, but that was not why we did it. I don't think, however, having them there and they become non-functional is a detriment to the community.
Or safety.
On my roof.
Right.
But so Terry, you don't like the removal standard in section C?
Not for roof mounted, no. If my system goes down for 18 months, I have to take it down. I don't think that's appropriate. But maybe I'm not. For a roof mounted system, why do you have to have a standard for that? Why does that apply to roof mounted as opposed to accessory or standalone?
If not, that's kind of like relook. Otherwise, I think go out there to remove it, you're damaging the roof underneath it as well.
But to be fair, you, the city, have no way of knowing if my roof mounted system is functional or not.
We would probably know a lot of cases. I mean, I think that's where this comes into play, is people abandon, now in the old days, there were days when we didn't have any rules about what had to be removed when somebody abandoned a building or a property. They could leave all kinds of crap on that, and there's certain tons of that, and they got the industry with the old mines. Now we have standards that say you gotta remove anything that's hazardous, you gotta remove anything that's below ground. Can't leave, hits or holes or, that kind of stuff. This is kind of the same thing. Don't leave junk on it.
It wasn't even that. It wasn't more residential. Yeah, I absolutely agree. That's your point.
This is kind of the 18 months is the recommended standard. I don't think we actually use this. None of us do. It's just a recommended standard. It's all coming from the Michigan State Extension grip. And we work with that same law.
This is also, there's also existing language that, so that one's recommended, for a recommendation from the consultant.
Be extended, but it's probably a good standard to have so people don't just abandon the system. Abandon the building or they stop using the property.
I was not thinking, along those lines, I was thinking more about the property.
I feel like we have signed amortization standards, so when somebody leaves the property, that sign that they leave, it has to be removed in a certain amount of time. If it's not, if the property, can continue that business. Certain types of signs, like pole signs and stuff, they just can't stay there forever. In some communities, they do. You've actually some communities, see signs that have been there for 50, 60 years, they're just eyesores. That's the kind of thing. Kind of thing.
And I double check, this removal language is in our, it's existing code right now. Doesn't mean that we can't change it, just like that.
but what's kind of just important is all this language about the screening and the casting and stuff, so you maybe get to tell us, is there like a reason why, see that the section, EI, the section on the screen with the capacity levels.
So that was the MSU extension sample.
I mean, I'm okay with it if everybody else thinks it's necessary, but it changed. I don't know if it has it, like there's a case or something that made it necessary.
And
I think a lot of this is because it's outdoor mechanical equipment.
And it's not with the smaller units. This is with the bigger, the accessory uses, we don't have, we're keeping the same language that we have in code now. This is for the bigger up to 2 megawatts of the system, whether it's permitted in special use. And then also the principal uses.
So I was looking at what you had, so the ones you had, and like, so when you went with this and that, I guess it's in that, recommended by, like, the potential of that. Did you have, in fact, some market residents or people that were, basically what we had to learn from some of the networking?
No, only existing language only allowed it to be small accessory structures. We are now allowing for greater size. So that's what I'm saying, these are the bigger systems that we now have. No, we only, that's why it was in Article 7 as an accessory structure. And MSU, you know, they did a training on it, and they had a sample code, that I worked with to have it kind of fit within our code, kind of making sure the language and the sections and whatnot. And these are the bigger systems. So if we're gonna add these bigger systems in residential neighborhood, yeah, you should have screen decorators. Do they really wanna have that industrial, you know? This isn't the type of accessory structures that we've been seeing pop up.
Okay, but like we can specifically, commercial industrial mixed use settings, this section C. Okay, so planning commission is zoning administrator, that like board some screening of the landscape requirements, if such an adjustment is intended to land well code. It says likewise, the PC or ZA requires substitute screening consisting of native deciduous trees planted in greater than or equal to 30 feet on center and native conifer trees planted within. Like that is very, very specific. Is that just stuff like language we got from Michigan State?
Yeah.
So, like, do you know why, like, native deciduous trees, the way we,
Well, I will say some of our screening, requirements do say 30 feet on center. In the buffering, we're dealing with buffering, and this is kind of in that same kind of vein.
I don't know, this is very prescriptive, very specific, but if, other people are okay with it.
One thought I would say, these are the bigger systems, we don't have, we always have to start where we're at, and then you can see.
All right, any other, thoughts on the solar section here?
So I think Steve's comment about, the performance guarantee sounds like you all want to take that out and then that's for the wind. That sounds reasonable, because the section right above it has a removal provision that allows the city to basically
anything else on the land use? Alright.
Yeah, this is just the use, the table for the use standards. Right now, we have no, this doesn't exist in the code. We have the light manufacturing in there, which I'm showing struck and replaced by the two other categories. But you can see they're all special land use for mixed use, district, general and regional commercial, and only permitted for the industrial manufacturing, whereas we're proposing that low impact be allowed as a permitted use in all of districts shown, plus a special land use in mixed use central business, for the medium impact of special land use in mixed use central business, general commercial, regional commercial, and permitted at municipal, civic, IM, or municipal, IM, and DLP for a lot of those properties and where they're government uses. And that's the permitted uses for municipal, IM, and DLP all, makes sense because they're already occurring.
Lots of pictures on the chart. Okay.
Landscape number 3.
So, basically, we had residential, people wanting to add, pea gravel to their lots and things like that, but our code only allowed for grass and things like that. Our old code, I think we allowed for more different materials that still held the soil. So, these are the additional language that we put in there, that uses that don't require site plan review. The site plan review gets you to, the other landscaping requirements in the code, but stating that they still must meet 54, 1004, and 1005. We're saying that are allowed to have an addition to grass or other perennial gardens, use production, keystones, rocks, pebbles in the open area of the site. However, there's a required 5-foot buffer between the street's edge or grass is required. Engineering was requiring that for people. We had issues that people were adding that in, and they didn't want keystone and rocks to have to snow on grab it, and now we have all that to road and everything. So then after the fact, we have to keep telling people, no, we need that 5-foot buffer, so our proposal is to put it in the road. And then, in the front yard area, that landscaping stone can only cover 50% of the front yard area, and a 1-foot setback buffer to property line for a city public sidewalk. That was in conversations with the city hydrology engineer. That seems like a reasonable thing that would still allow for. And also not have issues with the rocks going on the city public sidewalk.
So the problem with the rocks were being
Well, yeah, people were putting it up there, putting it allowed for it, so we're A, allowing for it, and B, telling them not what to do, so we're not gonna have to.
So they can do it with that, say, it's not allowed that, but
I think a little concerned about requiring grass. Because like my whole front yard is like poured out and like sunflowers and, you know, things, you know what I mean?
Right, that's what this is about, because we all required is grass, we're allowing for everything else.
I know,
Yeah, we
but
have-
still says like a 5-foot buffer between the street edge where grass is required.
Oh,
That's requiring like a 5-foot buffer of grass along the street edge. But I know a lot of people do have the corner of their lawn.
Yeah, that's a good point too. You say grass or underground?
Yeah, not.
Underground cover plants.
Sure.
other plants, Oh, the only of the front yard area. is what we were referring to.
But is that just like an athletic thing? As long as we're not putting rocks up there to the walls or
It is sort of aesthetic. Probably a key item that we.
I'm just thinking like, you know, their environment, their environments that are, things like that. Like your person goes, especially what, we have a pretty dry summer. For some reason, if you want to have like rocks in your yard. Okay, Arizona.
Cacti.
No, okay, really up there, so I just thought that was weird.
We could get from up there, don't have to do it.
The climate is changing and xeriscaping is promoted, you know, in a lot of, local literature. I know the rocks were recast on the street, the sidewalks, with the city, but as far as, I know you gotta have rock mulch around the base of that hill, because it's fairly common. But I suppose that's how far back setback is. In a lot of cases, we may be trying to reduce these islands, and other cases for adding. Last time about the colors. There's a big push to put white roofs on, when we go in rubber roofs or metal roofs, white roofs on. It used to be that way. But we're really going to,
It's right at 50%. You just say landscape stone, up to 1 foot buffer from the sidewalk.
I like grass, but I don't grow grass very well. I think a lot of other people are in the same situation, so I don't know if we can restrict.
I think the problem is just like, if stone is interfering with the city neighbors, like just try to address that problem.
Those are really well controlled as well. But better rocks than bare soil.
Most people don't want to look at rocks. I don't know, I mean, I wouldn't be like, yeah, but, you know.
I think you said the, people that have to do site plan review or category.
Yes.
other places.
Right.
Consider a lot of local, or a lot of, small businesses, they don't want to have a lawn. And so they have to there to do it. They don't prefer stone mulch
It's not, landscape is not regarding 1 foot setback buffer from the property line or from. Other item in here we didn't talk about is number 2 on that same, but it's just, concerning street trees under landscaping design. This is a recommendation that I came across not too long ago, planning magazine. This is mainly for developers and our arborists, that street trees should not be planted directly in front of the commercial building entrance or other features of the building that are intended to be seen from the street. This is like a clear zone requirement. So we just put some language in there to to basically prevent that, hopefully prevent that from happening. Apparently, it's like a pretty common mistake that's made with like arborists and other people planting street trees. They'll put trees up in front of entrances to buildings and people driving down the street or, you know, like,
Well, plus,
see, like,
site plan people can look at this and know when they're proposing street treatment.
Yeah.
Looking at it.
often those are like the doors, entrances, people spend a lot of money making those fancy or, you know, if you went to the building and then if the arborist puts trees in front of them, no one does not get that. It also, it doesn't help the public.
At the end of this, I'm wondering, it says, street trees must be planted within the right-of-way provided there is sufficient area. Is it fine city-wide or just, you know,
That's the current one.
okay, there, it seems restricted where, you know, allowing trees to be planted wherever, but.
Well, that's the difference between a street tree though and a tree that's required like landscaping. Street tree has to be.
And people who plant from there are supposed to get a permit from the arborist. The city has an obligation to maintain those trees, the property owner, says as a property owner, you can't even improve it. But they do feel that they are in a position to be compensated if the city has to remove the trees or something. Trees. There's also, I don't know if it's still being used or not, but in the late 1990s, the city invested very heavily in street tree inventory. It was completed by the tree company. Identification of species of every street tree, but also all of the available planting sites within the right of way, not all of the streets that were placed at that time. They were account underground utilities, overhead utilities, clear vision triangles, things like signs a lot of these we can't plant trees because it will cause a block of a stop sign. So I don't know if that's still in place, but it should be valid yet for the most part, and there's a very investment receipt and that covered. But it was followed. I guess not every vacant spot on the right of way is a suitable
Yeah, so whatever we're doing, because this is the site plan review section for it, so we always have a copy of city arbor first before we get it in the site plan.
You know, he has had to remove an awful lot of trees lately because of various diseases that have killed them. Property owners make quite an exception. No matter who, but especially.
It's okay. There are some things that, we didn't have to use fast.
Yeah, we already got it all.
Okay.
Good work.
Okay.
Made it.
We're done.
Well, you made it with the stuff that was
Look at that.
in what was sent out. I told you we were gonna keep working.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, we got 4 minutes.
No. Okay. We're not talking about this. There has to be a deadline. I mean, there has to be.
How much more do you have?
So the next section here is proposing height, and this is something that we talked about one time. So this is probably not one we want to talk about right now, the height exemptions for residential buildings. So this, really, we probably shouldn't talk about this. This should probably wait till next year. This goes back to the, study that Joy Cardillo provided to planning commission in 2021 for what we're looking at. I think what we need to look at is, are we gonna allow buildings in the single-family residential zoning districts to become taller, to provide more density through height? And we were proposing here to allow that to happen by the same way we allow taller buildings in the multifamily district to exceed the standard is by having bigger setbacks. If they have the room to increase their setback by a foot for every foot height, then that's what this proposal. The next thing, and that is something we spend a lot of time on. The next thing is under the subdivision developments. Now this is a lot more simple. This only pertains to design standards for city streets, and this is something the city engineer wants, because we've had a couple different developments where the city engineers made exceptions to the street width requirements. So, and this is a subdivision section of the ordinance where it says, marginal access streets shall have a right-of-way lot width not less than 62 feet, which is the standard city right-of-way width. So this is the city engineer's proposal. Reduce that to 50 and add an additional 8-foot wire for snow storage. Easement must be provided on each side of the right-of-way in all cases where the right-of-way is less than 66 feet. So this is what would be applicable to the new roads in the new Hemlocks subdivision, which is going to have the site plan coming very shortly, which was going in there. And then I think there's another after this, there's another little bit, no, I guess that is it. Yeah, that's it. Anybody have it? Yeah. Yeah. This is, so this is being defined to make marginal access streets. These are streets that are basically, dead ends subdivisions. The next thing is, the performance standard. That, I was proposing that we put one in here for landscape, for all projects that require landscape. Tie that to the section 14 requirement, which says the city can impose performance bonds for anything in the code. Because the landscaping is always the last thing to get done, and it's the thing that gets done with the least amount of precision and fidelity to the plan, and sometimes it doesn't get done at all. Last summer, we went around the city and checked all the sites that were approved since we developed. We adopted the land development equipment. We studied 12 sites that had insufficient, that they were deficient, they weren't meeting site plan requirements. And we spent about 3 months working with those property owners to get to the point where they all were going to be in compliance once they did what they said they were going to do. And in a couple cases, we were fortunate that we had some leverage with the marijuana businesses. A couple of the marijuana businesses had not had their landscaping. They did not want it. They came from very resistant to go, but we had leverage because those licenses are every year. They require city departments to verify that they're in compliance with different parts of the city, city requirements. They weren't in compliance with zoning, so we had that to hold over them. When you're not in compliance, as long as you're not in compliance, they won't renew your permit, so it had to be compliant. So anyway, this is something we don't have to do it now, but it's something that I think is something should be required to have the value of landscaping work put up as a bond at the beginning of the project. And the poster child for this is the paved rock townhouse, where they, now the cost of all the landscaping we can put on the people that bought the units because the developer faulted and the cost of the landscaping is something like $300,000. And so they're redoing the site plan because they don't, they're gonna have less landscaping than they did before, but they still have to meet the minimum city requirements. But it's still gonna cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because that's expensive work, and with irrigation required. And it's 26 units, it's a big project, it's not small. It's a big lot. So, this would prevent something like that from happening. That was kind of the interest for thinking about this, between those two things, is that, the fact that we got a lot of properties that didn't meet the landscaping requirements. And then this one that we folded. But we can go back to that. It's not something that has to be.
Maybe we can have a height issue that we have to work on. There's more questions at a time to think about this. Maybe the side of it, we can get.
Yeah. Yeah, even those things can wait till next year. I mean, those things really do require the height thing is probably gonna require some discussion. So I'd suggest you maybe put that in the next conference. Well, if we get this done now, if we end where we are now, we're gonna have a hearing on this,
The second meeting in May,
yeah.
so it'd be 23rd. And then, so then you're looking, I'm sorry, the 21st. So then you're looking at the end of June for the city commission to be able to bear public hearing. And we do have things that are affecting development and things like that. It's set. So it's a matter of, are you wanting to have one more work session if that's the case? Now we're looking at July.
Or depends on these things we can do, like,
For those two items, but if you want to discuss the heights of the common fund, or just close up with everything else and remove the order, but
well, what is the goal for having this completed outside of if we're gonna discuss this again in 2 weeks? What is the end goal?
I personally don't think we have to spend any more time on that, because we got a lot of stuff already, a lot of material for the city commission to review, and some controversial, some things that are going to be pretty intense for them to deal with.
That's true. I mean,
Conversation.
in the height issue, except separate like it's easier. How often do you have these amendments?
Once every year, we adopted the code.
So it's just something.
we usually work through the winter and try to get a public hearing before we get our summer.
Little behind.
Yeah,
Because we kind of, that's where we are, and we can.
Yeah, those are the main items right there.
Okay, great. Well, in that case, I think we are ready to, commissioner's
Mr.
comment.
Primo,
Oh, sorry. Mr. Green.
I would like to see 2 or 3 people go, see if they can get a performance. If they can, fine, and if they can't, maybe we should forget the performance plan.
what do you mean by that? And
Well, all I know is it used to be very difficult to get a performance plan.
well, that might not be the right term. Sure, you want to
what the right term would be, but I think people ought to, just, good people, go out of the city if they want, go and see if they can get one. Apply for one, however you want to write it. If they can get it, fine, if they can't, forget it.
So that Ames Rock project has, like every other project where it's working right away, the city requires $15,000 surety bond.
Yeah, that's a different story.
They were able to cash that one for the Ames Rock project. That's what's working right away. So that's one that we have in place now that works. But it is more of a cost now for the project. 50,000 ready to go on a lot of projects.
We talked with the program.
I'm just saying, it may not be as easy to get a bond as you think. You can always tell them, okay, put up a $50,000 cash bond, we'll hold it. In 30 years from now, you tell you to take it down, if you don't do it, we'll be 50,000. But, you know, the way things are going, 50,000 a day, I mean, worth 10,000 and 5,000 30 years from now anyway.
We should talk about it more in the winter. The section 14 does have languages that proposing is tied to, which states like how bonds are held and when they're, the city's required to return the money. It doesn't hold the money for, once the work's completed, the city's required to return the dissolved bond.
Okay, so to be continued, I guess, yeah. Commissioner comments?
I have,
What did you decide you were going to discuss in 2 weeks, or I think we're talking until next week. Yeah, no probably never change the proposal. I think I went to Sean Roberts, the assistant city manager, and mentioned we had to do 2 new other projects. And like I said, that I didn't hear that.
Good luck. I noticed that there was a one in the fire. And I don't know. But I think there's no fire.
Okay, well, so we maybe have a, any staff comments?
Next meeting,
Oh, you're right, well, not, that's your point.
yeah, right now, there's no business, right?
Right.
So I think the next meeting, we're just going to have the master plan on the agenda as new business. And what the process would be, we'd be recommending that you all make a recommendation to have the city commission take the master plan on for public comment. So that would be the only thing on the so as soon as the consultants are still fine tuning, they haven't given us the final thing. Some of it they're done with, but there's still a couple of things they're working on. So they're telling me they're not going to be for a while, but we'll get it to you as soon as possible. And if we can have a meeting on the 7th, if you agree on to do that, we will have that meeting and guys basically make a recommendation to pass on the community master plan ready to be viewed by the public.
All right, well, with that, we will adjourn at 8:11.